Hey guys, XJ9 here, and today's gonna be I'm gonna try to make it fast, but it's a combat update, and essentially on March 4th, this update's coming out with the combat beta, and I'm pretty happy with the changes overall. It's a very good step towards the right direction. I think the most important part with updates like this, because of the giant scope and the fact that combat hasn't really been adjusted, like this isn't like the typical patch, because unlike a game like League of Legends that updates its game every 2 weeks and is used to these changes, this game doesn't really update combat enough that to the point where if they do any like drastic change, it usually leads to quite a bit of imbalances. So shipping this update, I think, is a correct move because even if it's some things might not have made it because of time, it's out of the scope of this current combat update. They need to work on other things. It's very good that they got their foot out the door. Okay, that's the most important step with any project is just get your foot out the door. Focus on what needs to be done so you can ship it. Because I don't know if you guys know what development hell is, but essentially it's you keep on having all these developers that you're like, oh, this is a great idea. Let's do this. Let's do this, and they just never narrow it down. And they work on too many things at once, and then when they all come together, it's like a pile of garbage. And so when I think the most successful games are those that just stick with a simple concept, narrow it down, and do a good job at it, and then it becomes super successful. Like some of the most successful games nowadays is just like the most simple gameplay, but they do it well, and it's easy to understand. And I think that's the long term goal of combat, which is nice. So. Uh, Again, I talked about all these things like the hit chance is gone. So as long as you have 1% hit chance, you'll hit the target. So I'm doing toss. I have 70% accuracy. Your debilitate won't splash. Your stun won't splash. So you can stun lock Telos if you want. It's very nice. Damage consistency. This helps a lot of players. Like this helps the new player experience a lot because again I've made two other accounts in which I've over the course of like I think 8 years, like one hardcore Iron Man and one regular account. And the most noticeable thing is combat feels like garbage with a low level account because you don't have perks like precise or equilibrium mostly. And what ends up happening is your damage ranges are so strange. Like you can do an assault and it'll hit a 1.2k, and like it can hit a 3k, but it's so rare because your damage range is so high. These crunchier numbers make it so like when a player is doing combat, it's like, okay, I'm going to use slice here or decimate. I should expect around this instead of like it just doesn't hit that high at all. Like you can use decimate with level 70 weapons, it'll hit 400 or something like that. So this is really nice. Like a lot of people keep on talking about the high level aspect of this. Again, the high level aspect of this game isn't actually that important right now in this uh, point of the game. It's very important to make combat easy to understand and fun, and also skilling. So I hope they do skilling updates soon. The majority of players will not be doing like 500% Zamorak or 100% Zamorak. They will not be doing that. Like they actually don't care. I've showed this game to quite a few people. More people are interested in like cutesy skilling things more than like hardcore combat. Like they actually do not care that much about it. Um, so that doesn't matter. Yeah, the tooltips is also really nice if you actually take the time to read the tooltips, which is quite nice. They also have a little video. It's just essentially summarizing the stuff. You can go look at it if you want. They just say if again, the combat beta isn't even necessarily done, as in they still want your feedback on changes. So if you have if you play on March 4th and you're like, I don't like this one. Like I don't like snipe with ranged with my level 90 gear. It just feels bad or something like that. Just say it to them. So I do encourage you to give your feedback, whether it's on Reddit or Discord or I don't know. Well, the RuneScape forums don't exist anymore, guys. So yeah, I don't know. Or maybe just talk to other players. Who knows? Maybe you're friends with a J mod and you don't even know it, right? Um, Tooltip system is also a huge update. Uh, Shadow bar is also a very good update, and another good update with this update is it shows the number of your cooldown. So like I use my sunshine, it'll show 60 seconds, which is very nice. What else is very nice? To be honest, I don't really necessarily remember. It'll come back to me. So let's just again try to summarize this very quickly. Again, critical strikes will. So everyone has a base crit of 10%. They were thinking of making this lower to 5%, but I actually think keeping it at base 10% is actually a fine number. Uh, I mostly because lower levels don't really get to experience anything exciting in the current live game because there's really like no crit chance at all. At low levels, like you might go, wow, concentrated blast sounds super good, but you have no crit chance as like a level 40 player with rune armor or whatever, right? So this is just nice for like those big moments to feel cool. So I think that's nice. All styles were reduced to 50% crit chance at level 90, so necromancy doesn't benefit, which is fine. I like some people act like it's so important for necromancy to fill in the gas at 120. You know what? I think it's just future proof. Like I don't think that's a priority. So, like it really isn't. Okay, it's a 120 skill. Hey, it's done. Not when we make 120 all the other styles or something with some big combat update in like 5 years. Necromancy's already done. Like that's how I think of it. Okay, I think it's just future proofing. That's all it is. Damage cap is 30k. I'm not sure if this impacts reflect damage. It might. I'm not quite sure. I honestly forget. That's something I honestly forgot because if I might be recalling incorrectly, but I think it didn't in the combat beta at first. It might have. They might have changed it. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. But reflect if reflect could hit a 30k, that'd be kind of. I'm even. I don't know. Kind of strong. Like honestly, because all of a sudden like Zamorak becomes like he could just PK himself with reflect. Like reflect would become such a strong ability. I mean, it's already strong. It's just it would be too strong without investing into tank armor. Yeah, melee, like they say, I think melee is gonna become a lot more of a popular style because of this hit cap change too. So that's very nice. What else? They narrowed the damage ranges, which is very nice. So instead of having 20 to 100% with an average hit of 60%, it's now going to be like 55 to 65%, essentially in terms of variance, which is very good. So, because like sometimes you do a wild magic and you would literally hit a garbage hit, but sometimes you can hit an amazing hit. I think that's very good. That's a very good change, especially for lower levels that do not have perks and high damage ranges. Um, whatchamacallit? Oh, another nice thing I forgot to say is for the purpose of videos and streaming, I like that you got the what keys you're clicking on highlight, so you can see like what they're using, which is nice. I do think they should probably make an in-game feature of the one streaming tool that is used by some people, where it shows you like what ability rotation they're doing or what keys are clicking. I don't know. Maybe I think maybe this does the job fine though. To be honest, I don't think that's really much of a priority because they already have that with this change where it highlights what keys you're pressing. Um, yeah, I didn't test this, but it says fix several issues with Revolution being slow to act after finishing a challenge ability. This affected things like Blood Siphon and like you finish off an Abyssal Beast at 2 HP with an Assault. Your character would just stay there for like literally 6 seconds, waiting for the channel to end, and then would finally aggro. Same thing with Blood Siphon. If your Blood Siphon was going and you went and did an 18k and killed the Abyssal Beast, you would just stand there and go like then you would charge like so. I did not test this. But I hope they did change that, and that's what that means because that feels like absolute garbage. Okay. What else? Again, a lot of quality life features. You can read that if you want. Some shortening of keybinds. Um, yep, you need 1% chance to hit a target. Things like Ingenuity of Humans, which gives you a 100% chance for your next hit, still has use and future use, such as at Virago. Like Virago, you have like 70% hit chance. Now, if you spec, you go to 100% for that one hit. Some people also talked about like they use like bloat with they swap to like a tier 90 and tier 90. The tier 95 main hand offhand use bloat with necromancy to make uh the target get insta killed by the necromancy invoke death. Like for Zamorak Part 7, some people, if they're using melee, they might Ingenuity Humans blow with tier 95 weapons at the main hand to have a 100% hit chance. Go back to melee, kill the ruin, and then barge do DPS. And when Zamorak hits 30k, if a blow hits him, he just dives, even though you're not using necromancy. So I think there's still plenty of uses for Ingenuity of Humans and a lot of future cases. So yeah. The roll. Okay. Yep, we were talked about this. I didn't really test these abilities too much. Smoke Shadow Tendrils and Smoke Tendrils. I didn't test how much more damage they do, to be honest. The adrenaline gain from Meteor Strike, Incendiary, and Tsunami were from 10% to 8%. I still wish that they just made it style specific because I really don't like. I'm not joking. I really don't think anyone really cares that much about like using range to get a free 100% adrenaline and then going to melee and natural instincting and stuff. Like I've actually hung out in like PVME FC for instance, and a lot of people say like I'm looking for AOD, no dummies please. Like a lot of people do not like dummies. They don't like stalling. They don't like pre-buffing before fights. So like I kind of hope that eventually they rework this and just make it like I'm just not a fan of like even the Reddit was like saying things. Jeez, this dog's barking outside. Uh, the Reddit was even saying things like, "Oh, I'm assuming you're doing a mass Jaws of the Abyss switch, and I'm assuming that you're natural instincting, and I'm assuming you use meteor strike before you start a boss with a dummy." It's like no one really cares about that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if that's the direction the game wanted to go in, I'm not joking. It would be dead. So I hope they kind of don't go that direction. But yeah. Um, remove channel ability press from the buff bar. Yep. Less buff bar clutter is very nice. What else? Remove the white flashlight curves at the end of a global cooldown rotation graphic. That's nice. Oh, the hitspot change is nice. So hitspot fade delay was 70, 1.4 seconds. Now it's 60, 1.2 second. Hitspots will not appear as expected, allowing newer hitspots to always replace older hitspots if all slots are full. This is a very good change to see like how much damage you're doing and like, did my split soul do a 6k there because my Amio souls, procced with the 25% to 50% more soul split damage. Um, what else to be honest? There's something else. There's so many things in my mind, but it's wherever. Da, 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 da. There's we know about this stuff. Potions are so good, but now someone that was 79 magic and boosted to 99 isn't stronger than someone with 99 magic that didn't pot, which is very nice. What else? I think it. I don't know. I'm not sure if letting a fixate go is better or not. I kind of hope it is. I think it's kind of bad design when you have to cancel channels all the time. Tuska's Wrath, Quake, and Overpower hit one cycle slower, which is interesting. When you bladed dive, weaponry is no longer hidden during the dive animation. They changed Fury to be a 50-second cooldown, and it makes your next melee strike have a 25% crit chance. So people don't need Greater Fury anymore to like have Revolution now. And also, because even if they did the channel fix where you don't stall with Revolution, Fury was just such a bad ability to let go. So yeah, I think there's a really good change with that. Greater Fury is also very strong. The average damage is 130% compared to 120%. And now you have the benefit of if it crits, your next hit will always critical strike. So Greater Fury is still very strong. I do like that Fury is closer in power to Greater Fury, as in I think it was kind of stupid that the price of Fury Codex was mostly because of Revolution players. Like it's the same reason Magma Tempest went to 800 mil 1 bill, even after Zuck, you know like the Zuck changes back when I stopped playing the game. It was mostly because of Revolution. Like they gave it a Revolution friendly way to be used. So I think it's kind of bad when I don't know. I personally think it's kind of bad when some things come out and it's like this is so good at Revolution for AFKing. I don't know. I kind of not a fan of Revolution at all. Um, the one thing they did do to compensate for Greater Fury having a 15-second longer cooldown was they make Sever a from 15 seconds to 5-second cooldown. Sever does more average damage than Greater Fury, or than I'm not sure about the current Greater Fury. I'm not sure about this Greater Fury, but Sever does a lot of damage, and on top of that, it lowers the damage the target does by 10% for I'm not sure how long. It's at least 5 seconds. It might be longer. It might even be like 8 seconds. But yes, spamming Sever is going to be kind of like what you do. I might even swap the places of these now and put Sever on my 2 key because I have Greater Fury there, but since it's a Greater Fury is going to be a situational use, I might actually switch this to my 6 key. The Shard and Sliver of Leng have actually got buffed compared to beta. We didn't get to test this version of it, so it's essentially the same. It's still the same 12% chance. Like the tier 95 main hand has a 10% chance. Combined with the offhand is 12%. That's still the same. The one thing that is different is, where is this? Uh, so the special attack of the tier 85 and tier 95 main hand is 30 adrenaline, which is the same, but it's reduced by 12% per stack of primordial ice. In the beta, and I think even right now, if you were to go in, it's only 6%. When I went to test last like a week ago, it was literally still, it was 6% per stack of primordial ice. So you had 5 stacks to have a free ability. Now you only need 3 stacks to have a free ability, or 2 stacks, and the ability will only cost like 4.6% adrenaline, which is really, really good. And the special only has, I think, like a 15 or 20-second cooldown, I believe. So this special is really strong. Like, some people underrate it. Like, some people say, "Oh, Abyssal Scourge is better." Well, I think at newbie bosses and definitely poisonable bosses, Abyssal Scourge is better. But I think any boss where you would lose your the Scourge stacks from doing a mechanic such as Zamrak, where you have to go kill the mage. I'm pretty sure your stacks will go away unless you can kill the mage just like that, at maybe a lower enrage. So, uh, what do I want to say about this exactly? It's better at the length swords are very good at bosses where you're not just hitting the boss. So Zamrak, like, I don't know, Zamrak is probably a more modern boss in the direction they need to go with bossing instead of like a boss like Solak. It's just you're hitting Solak the whole time. Like there's no I need to do something else. I need to go kill a minion in some other side of the map or something. It's more of a problem with boss design. You could even argue that Abyssal Scourge is a little bit too strong, even where it just I don't know does too much damage. Like maybe they need to lower the maximum stacks to 25 or something instead of 50. Maybe because I mean realistically, I would hope that I would want the Abyssal Scourge to be good with bleed build slash a boss that's poisonable, and Ling Sword's good at any boss that isn't poisonable. You know, so the answer might just simply be to slightly nerf Abyssal Scourge. I'm not even lying. It might be. It might even be like maybe buff the Ling Swords to have maybe the offhand has 4% or 5% chance to, but then I'm kind of scared to buff the offhand of the turn 85 because the reason the offhand only has 2% chance to apply a stack is because people with the Scourge are going to have the offhand on, so you do 50 hits just to get a stack. They don't want the offhand to be so strong compared to the main hand. So you could maybe argue maybe the main hand needs a buff, or just maybe Abyssal Scourge needs to get nerfed. I'll talk more about this, what I think about player power near the end of the video. Um, yeah, it's a very strong special. Yeah, 50-second cooldown. It's a very strong. I actually think this is very strong. Again, players probably did not read the patch notes because a lot of people on Reddit are like, "Oh, it's not that good," but like they literally buffed it. It was 6% per sec. If you literally go to the last combat beta, it literally says 6% per stack. Now it's 12%. That is insane. Like a 6% adrenaline ability. Wow. Or again, essentially 15% adrenaline. Even if it one stack, it's 18% adrenaline plus minus 20% adrenaline. So it's essentially fit like a threshold. So that's absolutely insane in my opinion. They changed a lot of stuff. The big L in this is I don't like that they removed the Bolas Guardian red icon. I really would like this back, or a tooltip, because when I went back in the beta and was trying to do test range after they did some range changes, I don't feel it. Like the it the I think the only people who complain about the red icon, right, were people who were already used to the Bolas Guardian and just like know what abilities will add how many stacks. With people like me who don't range that much, it's actually super helpful. So I do hope it comes back in some form because it honestly range is a big headache without having that red prime icon. I really hope they put it back. Overall, again, they've reduced the damage of the special, but again, they did crunch the numbers more. So because for example, we haven't talked about this yet, but Dark Bow does quote unquote less damage, but I think it's roughly the same because some guy also did the math because of the crunchier numbers. And again, this isn't even out, and I could even argue that range is too strong in live right now. Like there's literally people doing 6 minute 2K Samurai kills with range, and it's like, yeah, that's a little bit broken, don't you think? And I'm sure that it's still going to be possible even with these changes. I mean, maybe, but some people just need to admit when something's too strong. You know, people just want more, 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 more. But it's like you know, this is why you don't listen. Like the problem with RuneScape too is it's essentially like imagine if gold players in League of Legends were to listen to, like they say, oh, buff Wukong, buff LeBlanc, or something like that, when they're already fine, for example. And again, just example, just pretend Wukong and LeBlanc are fine or very strong, and they're saying buff them. It's like it's equivalent of that. Like you don't listen to the general player base. Even higher level players, like pro players, they don't know balance. There's like being a balance does like someone in charge of balance and a designer is completely different from being a master at the game, because you're just mastering what the developers made. You know, and making a game is different from mastering. It is completely different. It's because some of these people say things like, "Oh, why don't they just make this really good player able to balance the game, like the top 10 PVMers. They should just listen to them. They don't know how to make a game. It's completely different. They're just gonna make the game how they want it, not how it should be. You know. Um, what's my call it? Yeah, I just wish they brought back the red stuff. I thought Serengabo already always hit from the center of the NPC. There's also it might have been before the initial shot always hits it and not always, because I swear they did this like 5 years ago. It was you're guaranteed to hit at least one shot. That one shot might have not always been guaranteed to hit in the middle though, which might lead to the weird BS. So the fact that Serengabo always hits in the middle is pretty insane now. If it was indeed a change, because I swear this was a change already, but I think it was just random where the first arrow hit, which influenced all the other hits. So Serengabo is probably extremely strong now, as well. And again, I'd rather someone use a Serengabo more than spamming Darkbow. I'm just saying. Um, Ruby bolts are pretty cool. Again, I actually think I like the direction of dual wield ranges going in. Some guys suggested some tier 90 and tier 95 and tier 92 set effects for range. He even suggested changing the Serenic set effect from being like the random bolt procs. I actually like that, and it's funny, people say they like variance. Meanwhile, that's variance, but then people say they don't like it. I feel like people like variance, especially when like people don't necessarily even like variance. They just like it when you can control the variance to the point where it's not even variance. You know, like you can expect a certain amount of variance to the point where it's not even variance. Uh, I will say that the biggest issue with dual range isn't that it's weak. It's just it doesn't have a tier 92 bow or tier 95 dual wield bows that has an actual passive or set effect. 2H range is so strong because just because the Bow Last Guardian. If the Bow Last Guardian didn't exist, I do believe that dual wield range and 2H range would be a lot closer in power. It's just the select bows just don't do anything. They just save money. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. They just need to make a new tier 92 bow or new tier 95 bow. I'm not a fan of buffing the select bows. I like the idea of select bows being cheap and just a cheap way to get, a money saving weapon for noobs. Solog's a noob boss at this point, so yeah. One thing about the rebuilds they did change is it was 5% proc chance reduced by 1% for each 1 mil HP your target has. Now it's just 5% chance, so it's just consistent. It also has a 0-second cooldown, which is insane. It used to be 6%. It only deals you 5% of your life points as damage. Um, Also, increase the damage of the attack by 25 to 125% ability damage based on your current target's current life points. Um, I'm not sure how this works with Great Ricochet. I feel like I guess it's each individual Ricochet would be enhanced. This also leads to you healing more through Soul Split and also dealing more through Soul Split. It's also just cheaper than Onyx Bolts. I'm not sure how much more damage they do compared to Onyx Bolts. But again, I like the idea. I like how they did the Ruby Bolts. I think this is a very good direction. When arrows are interesting. I think I'm not sure how much better they are than full arrows. It might be kind of a get 10 stacks and then like dump a giant Serengabo spec for 30% more damage instead of 15% more damage or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But I do like that when arrows work with specials though. I think that's very good. They also buff the threshold damage. Again, I'm not a range expert, so I'm kind of curious what people will say about the wind arrows, like wind arrows versus full arrows, or does it encourage switch escape? I will say, I've talked to my girlfriend about this. I'm not a fan of even swapping arrows. I kind of just wish it was like, this is the arrow you're taking to the boss. That's it. Like, if you could only take one arrow at a boss, this is what it would be. Okay, I'm doing Slack, big arrow, because it's poisonable. Oh, I'm doing um Barago, wind arrows, because it increases my accuracy. I need that accuracy. Increases my damage. Looks good. Oh, I'm doing, I don't know. What's a newbie boss? I can't even think of a boss. Hmm. Maybe someone. I don't know. Like, what's it? Come on. Let's come up with a name. A name. A name. I don't. Let's just say. Bro, I can't even think of a boss. Maybe Raksha. Yeah, sure. Let's just say Raksha. Let's just say you 100% chance with full arrows at Raksha, barely with best in slot gear. I'm using full arrows because I just want to deal maximum damage at all points in the fight. And jazz arrows. Oh, I'm doing Warcath. I'm just going to use these jazz arrows, these jazz dragonbane arrows. And oh, you know what? I'm going for a more of a Dren build here. I want to really use my Surrey shot here, and just be able to spam those Seren Gabos and use my rapid fire or something like that, or not unload. Well, they make unload good, or dead shot. People don't even use dead shot, which is kind of funny. Is that kind of funny how people don't use dead shot? I think that's kind of funny. Even with the Tokar cape, the Zuck cape. You would have to choose the arrows where you have 3% crit chance, and you have a free ability after 5 hits of crits. I like it like that. I'm honestly not even a fan of the ability to swap to, oh, let's get a free ultimate and go back to full arrows. I personally, I just don't think, I'm not joking. I actually think RuneScape would be funner if you just had one choice. I'm not joking. And it's like, and people will say, well, that is what RuneScape is. At this point, RuneScape 3 is not RuneScape. It isn't. It's EOC with combat abilities. I said this before, and someone agreed with me, which I appreciate, where you have to do so much more than just click on someone and move and use a prayer occasionally. It's way more than that. Like, we're okay, now we have switches because there's nothing to do. This game has so many abilities and abilities cooldowns and managing all that I just don't feel. I just feel like this. I just hate Switch Game. Necromancy made me realize how much I hate Switch Game. It really did. Like, that's why I like Necromancy so much, and I just don't like all this bias hate towards Necromancy. Like, that's what I'm gonna say with that. I personally would really like a version of RuneScape where you had to choose, and that you had to build, because otherwise you're just gonna have these issues where people have 2 pieces of food, a blood reaver they spam for 80,000 light points in a span of 2 minutes, and just spam damage with macro switches. And I just don't think that's good for the game. Um, Magma Tempest average damage went from 96 to 220. Holy crap! Do you know how much better is the AFK now? Look at this Magma Tempest damage. 220% average damage. I think on average that means it literally does like 6 or 8,000 damage or something like that crazy. And that's not even including Sunshine. In Sunshine, it would literally do like 10 to like 14,000, 16,000 damage. That's a giant buff to Magma Tempest. You need to spam that skill a lot. Rock and Rune, Creatine, average. Yep. Did they buff the average damage of all ranges too? Pretty much. Because mostly because of the crunchier numbers. This is a very good change too. Global cooldown. So the big skill gap in this game is honestly using an ability, especially on Part 7 Zamorak, use like an ability and then dive before the global cooldown goes down. Because right now in live, if you were to dive, your global cooldown goes down. This is probably one of the better changes. I actually do agree with these changes because this makes combat feel a lot more fluid because these are just mobility spells. So I agree with that. Um, they did some changes with special attacks. Armor of Godsword is interesting because if they ever make a boss where you need to hit 30k but you don't have Zerk, it's a good special. Um, Reduces the target still. I think it's by 1 minute, 10% less damage. They put, yeah, Darkbow got nerfed, but like, I think it's in general the same though. Which is again, some people need to relax. Average damage per hit. Yeah, I think I already read this stuff. Decimate, locate. Oh, Decimation got a huge buff. This is the ranged ability, the bow, where you have an EOF, you use it, and your abilities AOE for like the next 10 seconds or 15 or something like that. 35. This is a ginormous buff. So, range has some insane AOE without having to use Chinchompas now, because that's a very affordable adren cost. I get even stuff like that. I actually don't mind stuff like this. I actually don't mind because I think it's kind of sad when like range has a big weakness. Like, I mean, is it okay to have weaknesses? I don't know. Like again, when I say the things I do, I hope you know it's not like this is what I believe in. That's not. This is like literally like this is just my thought right now because that this is why it's important to have other developers. When you're developing a game, you don't just balance the game around yourself. You need to talk to other developers and have a discussion. Because if I was talking to the JMod, you could have endless discussions like, Decimation, this really buffs ranges AoE so they're not so weak in elite dungeons, like, or at least don't have to use Chinchompas. Is that okay? Like, things like that. I'm just saying, discussions are important. It's always important to know that someone's, like, at least with me, my opinion always isn't like concrete. I usually believe it for a reason, but it's not to say it can't change. Um, Devour, Obliteration Devour has an initial hit. Wow, what the? Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, this video might be a little bit longer than I thought. So I don't know if this was even the beta. Obliteration Devour. This is the magic. I believe the magic weapon. It has an initial hit. Now instead of doing nothing, it does 220% damage. Instead of costing 100% dren, it's 50%. Debuff duration is 15 seconds out instead of 10.2. Healing debuff should now be more consistent and work in more places. Does it really? 15 seconds only, like I wonder how good this would be. Like, is it good at Zamorak, for example? Like, does it work at Zamorak? This is I'm gonna probably test out some stuff even in a live game because this is just so interesting to me. Like, this is interesting because there's not many bosses that can heal, but reducing the healing of Zamorak would just be pretty cool, right? I just think it would be. Even at doing a trio Zamorak, Zamorak ends up healing 16 Ks. You can reduce that to 8K only. I think that's insane. And see, this is more about what I'm going to talk about. Where I just talk about now. I, I like this because it encourages having more players. Because the dread cost might seem steep, but it isn't steep if there's 3 players, if there's 5 players in a fight. Because now all these players can do different specials. Like you have one guy who his job is to put the debuff on him. You have 2 people whose goal is to do big damage. One guy is the tank. One guy is the support. And so I like this because I could see people doing Zamorak with like a trio or something, and then this one guy's job is like he's a mage and he's applying this debuff at Zamorak so he doesn't heal as much, and so it's easier to phase him. He has less HP to start. Hey, maybe there's even going to be a strategy at 2K in rage or something where people lower his HP to like 50K, 100K, and he can't heal enough because at Zamorak you get more adrenaline as the fight progresses. With Ruin 1, you generate 20% more adrenaline per stack. So what if you utilize that and just can keep that debuff on him and just get him and do easy phases and he does like one mechanic, like so. I this is like see, I can talk so much about one change. One change can do so much, and it's just because RuneScape has so much potential to be such a great game. It has great mechanics, but they just don't play out sometimes. And I feel like the game would shine most in group. What I think should happen is players individually need to get weaker. They should be weaker, and because some people are saying, "Wow, so all this combat beta did was necromancy barely got changed, and other styles got nerfed." And it's like, well, no, melee got buff. Range got a little bit nerfed, I think, but again, it was OP, and necromancy is probably gonna get nerfed more because it's still kind of freaking strong. I keep saying that. Where like they need to make the death skulls and living death have a higher cooldown, like 3 or 4 seconds higher cooldown. Uh, so you can't do like the 4x death skulls or whatever. Uh, this game needs to have more group content. It should be okay. We have a necromancer. Again, I already talked about this. You're doing a 3-man boss, one necromancer, one meleeer, one mage guy. And what if there's a boss where during a specific part, or the boss's mechanic is he takes 20% less damage from all abilities, but he takes 100% more damage from bleeds. All of a sudden, you want to have that meleeer there. Oh, you want oh, you want the meleeer who can enhance bleed damage. You want that mage guy who can do bleeds too. You want um because I think even mage has an ability to enhance bleeds. I'm not sure. I don't think it does, but melee can enhance bleeds. You have the necromancer who can increase that bleed damage with the vengeful ghost, which is doubled because of the boss's effect, and I personally like it that bleeds don't stack. I think bleed stacking would lead to the same issue we have, where, again, let's say we have this boss idea where bleeds just do 200% more, 100% more damage. Okay, well now everyone's just gonna bring melee and just spam the do more the smash ability to deal more bleed damage, and you're just gonna see everyone just use bleeds. I don't think that's good for the game. I think bleeds should stay unique. I don't think they should be able to stack. I don't think you should have 10 members or 5 sword specs all going at once. I don't think it should be like that. I think it should be rolls. Okay, this game needs rolls. It should not stack. Like look at Dofus. A game like Dofus, if you have 2 Hupper mages, if I do a flame spell and an earth spell, that target takes 15% more damage for 1 turn. So I'm a debuffer. If I have another Hupper mage and they do that same combo, it doesn't stack. It's still 50% more damage. It just refreshed the debuff. And that's the thing with Dofus. It's like, oh, I'm like, okay, I'm playing with another Hupper mage. Let me talk to him. Hey, so do you want to debuff the? I play first, so let me debuff the enemy. You just focus on using your morph ability, which is a high damage single target ability, and kill them. I'll focus on debuffing. Sure thing. You know, like that's what this game needs. I don't think everything should just be generalized and just harmonized to just all work at once. So oh man, I'm not joking. This game could be so good. I'm not joking. This RuneScape is one of those games. It's the diamond in the rough where if they just stop listening to like literally the 0.1% player base and just did what they think they should do and make the game fun for the general player base, I really feel like this game could be so freaking good. This game I could easily see with 100k players. I could easily see this game with 100k players. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I think if they were to do, I honestly think, I'm not even saying those to me. I'm just saying, I think if I was in charge, I could make this game have 100k players within 5 years. I guarantee it. I'm actually very confident in that. Like, look at this. Zero staff, Miasmic Barrage, Adrenaline 100%, 50%. Coach centralization. Debuff should not be more consistent. Can you lower the speed of Zamorak's attack so he does less mechanics? I don't even know. Was this even on the beta? I don't even think it was. I think this might have just been the last finishing touches that they made before they even shipped it. So, I'm going to have to test these things. Even before the shit, imagine this shit's so broken. Oh my god. Oh no. Zero staff's gonna go like crazy up. I need to buy this shit. Staff of Darkness. Staff of Armor got buffed to the average. Yeah, Tempest of Armor got buffed. I think this is fine. It got buffed, but probably because the adrenaline cost was nerfed on the Tsunami. Ibon Blast got buffed, which is pretty cool. That's a lot of damage with Ibon Blast. Holy crap. Penish Trident. Penish Trident. That's interesting. What else did they change? This is a PvP thing. I'm just reading stuff. I'm not sure how that works. What else got changed? I'm not sure how good this is. Like, what's Zamorak's magic level, for instance? I don't know. Um, add an audio cue for Eldritch Spell. Add Eldritch Crossbow. Change the soul split icon. Hand cannon. 35% of Dren. 330 damage. What's Dark Bow at? Where is Dark Bow? Isn't it 50? Dark Bow still does more damage. Hand cannon is a very viable option though. It's because it's less adrenaline. I think hand cannon is going to be better for the people who don't have Draculich armor. I think if you have Draculich armor, Dark Bow is going to be better. I'm not even quite sure honestly. Hand cannon being OP. The one downside of hand cannon is that I think it does. I think even with all buffs, you would barely hit 30k. So hand cannon is very strong for the adrenaline cost. But again, it is a single hit. Dark bow is 2 hits, so you can refund more of the adrenaline. And plus, each arrow is enhanced. Like if you use full arrows, enhanced by 15% for each individual hit, not just one hit. So I'm curious on how that's going to be. Hand cannon's pretty strong. I think hand cannon is definitely going to be the option that lower level players use, like that don't have many unlocks. Get an EOF, put a hand cannon. You desperate in a snapshot rapid fire. Use a hand cannon spec. Even then, I think it's kind of silly because I always just feel like mutating danger shot. I feel like the mutating danger shot arrows are very good. The ones where after you use mutating danger shot, your next ability applies stacks. You could use rapid fire snapshot and just get so many stacks. I feel like I don't know. I always like puncture. What else does this have? They change anything else? Saradomin bow is very good. Oh wow, did they change this? I think they reduced that adrenaline cost. Although maybe it was already like this. I'm not sure in beta if it was already 55%. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. But regardless, 30% adrenaline to heal 100% of damage dealt. Hmm. Yeah, you can easily get like a 5k, 6k heal. But again, it's overshadowed by things like Blood Reaver where you can just spam healing. Again, I like these effects. It's just Blood Reaver is broken. What else is strong? I like Barrel Chest Anchor. Again, Barrel Chest Anchors are pretty. I just like the rolls. Is there anything else really? Saradomin's sword looks so strong. Both hits are now magic damage. 270 per hit. How much is this? A 50% special? I don't even know how much this is. But Saradomin's sword has potential to be very strong as well as a special. Especially if there's a boss where like I don't know. This is an interesting special. Bandit's Godsword now reduces all stats by 0.5% per damage dealt. So if you deal like a 100, it reduces it by point. If I do a 200 damage, it reduces all stats by 1. So if I do a 20k Bandos Godsword spec, wouldn't it be like a minus 100 all stats? Or am I stupid? I'm not sure if that's 1%. It might be. That'd be insane. Bandos Godsword might be at least some really broken interactions. Bosses like Solak, I don't think regain his stats. You might be able to spam Bandos Godsword and make Solak have 0 stats, and you'll do like 0 damage. I'm not even joking. I might test out some of this stupid shit. This is so hilarious. Um. No, that's pretty. The special attacks are pretty interesting. They're interesting as long as there's playstyles. Again, I like special attacks. I just don't like them when they're spammed, and you have the choice to choose anything. Um, Ikalimaro is very strong, but yeah, again, I don't. I think it's only gonna be strong if there's an actual pure bleed build or if there's a new perk made because Madra Aura gives you 5%, but you can still crit. I don't think 7% more damage and not critting is worth it. So Eco Aura is okay. I would even say its aura is better for low levels, but Ward doesn't even give it. So Ward should probably give it Equilibrium Aura. Um, Equilibrium perk is very strong because it increases your base stat ability damage. So it increases damage over time, poison, and other effects. This is probably why when I tested out Necromancy, I tested out Necromancy having the from 75% crit damage to 50% crit damage in the beta. I didn't notice a difference. It might have been just because the Equilibrium perk is so strong because it's enhancing like all my damage enhancers, like my skeletons and stuff. Also, a lot of Necromancy's damage is from the conjures, not actually from yourself. Um, what did they do? Oh, sorry. I thought for a second I was like, wait, did they nerf Necromancy? No. They just nerfed the damage potential in PvP. Again, like I think PvP has plenty of potential, but again, things just do too much damage. Like 70%, bro. Like it's still gonna be a 7k. What's up? I think that's really it. Greater chain. Yep, if you combust after with greater chain from a Grek and Ruin, it will not all benefit. Magma Tempest and defensives have an auto attack delay. You can still auto though. So, I think foretaking still exists and still autoing after defense. No, I'm not sure about defenses. I don't know. Vortex still exists in the game essentially, but yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Flurry now deals full damage to all targets, which is good. Metamorphosis got buffed, so 6% more damage from magic. So yeah, I mean to be honest, that's really it. Overall, I think this is all very good. It's just I hope that Bolas Guardian gets its icon back because I really like it personally. Um, and yeah, I need to go buy some special attack weapons. It looks like because I'll laugh if those things work at bosses like Zamorak. Because imagine making him attack slower, like making Zamorak attack slower at like 20k plus in rage. Wouldn't that just be huge? You just doing that much less damage? I don't know. Probably. How would it influence Part 7? I don't know. Was there anything else I wanted to say? There might have been. I think. What do I think, guys? All this stuff. I just hope they just do more changes and they don't just like not do anything for a whole year. Like they need to update Snipe to be similar to Greater Fury, where Snipe has a long cooldown but does like some kind of cool effect or something. I don't know. But they would probably need to rework Nightmare Gauntlets or something. I'm just gonna probably end the video here. I might remember what I wanted to say, but I think I pretty much said everything. Oh, the one thing I do want to say is the one change you should probably do with the Staff of Armadil. Some people keep on saying, "Oh, just bring back for Curse of Crits." The reason that Genetics wants to rework the Staff of Armadil is because they don't like that you have to go to dual wield to get the effectiveness. Because Bolas Guardian, you just keep the bow on. First off, I think they should personally just make it so the special is you have to keep the staff on. Secondly, they should probably just add a passive where you have an added 10% or 15% crit chance or something. Honestly, um, maybe I don't know. Maybe only 10%. Just because like all of a sudden it would be like, oh, you can use a spec. Okay, you use your fixate. You have 10% crit for each hit. Oh, you use your Tempest of Armadil. You have that 10% crit chance added to each hit. I don't know. Maybe something like that. I don't sure if I like the idea of swapping Greater Conk and Sonic Wave because it's like, is it really needed? I don't know. I just feel like the first thing they should do is honestly just make it so you have to camp it. I think all Tyranite 5 weapons, honestly, and a lot of weapons going forward that are newer, should just be you have to keep the weapon on for balance reasons. So, because I feel like if you just keep on adding EUF switches, it's just going to lead to problems. So, that's what I would do personally. Bye.